What up, y'all? It's the Sports Mix. Big Kenny checking in. Just want to see what's going on, everybody, man. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel, man. So, yo, something got me thinking today, right? You know, I see we talking basketball. You know, all this debate. Every day I see people debating about who the GOAT is. You know, I don't really subscribe to one player being the greatest of all time. You know, I had my pick for my favorite player of all time, and my GOAT would be Mike Jordan. But you know, there's other people, you know, for different reasons, you know, that would land on my list of GOATs, and it all had to do with really how they impacted me as a fan, you know, me watching the game of basketball. You know, like if I had my top 5 players that you know, probably influenced me and why I love the game of basketball, you know, Mike Jordan, Len Bias, Reggie Williams, Patrick Ewing, and the 5th one, Magic Johnson probably would be the 5th. So, you know, those 5, just for whatever reasons, you know, would be at the GOATs, you know, and for different reasons. Like, you know, of course, Len Bias, we know, you know, he only have a small sample size, you know, just what he did at University of Maryland. And we all know what happened with Len Bias, unfortunately. You know, he met his demise before he could get to the NBA and live up to the promise. You know, Reggie Williams, you know, Georgetown, he was my favorite player, you know, and he's been a guest on the Sports Mix too. So, you know, Reggie was my favorite player, favorite college player of all of them. Patrick Ewing kind of became a star around the time when I started liking basketball, when I really started to pay attention to the game, and when I really started to take interest in it. You know, it was Patrick Ewing. It was the 5 gold 10s against North Carolina in the championship game. You know, just the way he played the game. It was just, you know, the t-shirts under the jersey. It was just all the little stuff, man, that Patrick Ewing, while he was you know, my favorite player, one of my favorite players. What else I'd say? Magic Johnson. You know, Magic Johnson, man, it was fun. He made the game fun to watch, man. They had that Showtime going on in the 80s. It was magic. You know, I was tall. I was like the tallest guy with my crew of friends. I wanted to handle the ball. I wanted to be the point guard. I wanted to make the no-looks. You know, I wanted to, you know, have fun with it. Of course, I wasn't as good as Magic. I wasn't, you know, a point guard by any stretch of the imagination. But I, you know, wanted to be that. Anytime I got the ball in my hands, I tried to make something happen with it. So, you know, Magic for that reason. But I say all of that to get me to the bigger point, you know. Because with time, you know, and new players come along, you know, we tend to diminish. There's a thing we try to diminish what the older players did, what the players from another time did. And we don't give credit to the game evolving. We don't give credit to the game growing. You know, players are more athletic. You know what I'm saying? And we totally kind of discount players from a different era. You know, in case in point, I brought this up because I saw a photograph of Dr. J this morning. And as a kid, I just remember Dr. J being kind of the biggest superstar in basketball. And I wasn't even really much of a basketball fan that young. You know, in the 70s and the early part of the 80s. I didn't really start liking basketball until about the mid part of the 80s. And he was pretty much at the end of his career. He finished in 86. But I'm talking about the 70s. You know, I remember seeing Dr. J in like the little cartoon advertisements. I think it was for Converse or some kind of advertisement. May have been for the basketball, Spalding, the basketball with him. And, you know, you would see Dr. J on these commercials. You would hear people talking about him. I remember going to see the movie The Fish That Saved Pittsburgh, where he was the star of that. You know, so Dr. J. And, you know, his contribution to the game, because at one time he was considered the greatest player in the game. He was considered, you know, he was considered the star of all stars. You know, when it came from the ABA, when the ABA merged with the NBA, you know, he was the big prize. He was the big prize coming out of that ABA. And, you know, he didn't disappoint coming into the league. You know, he didn't disappoint. You know, he showed that he was exactly what he was advertised to be. And the only thing that he couldn't do in the NBA early on was win the championship. He won several championships in the ABA. You know what I'm saying? But he came to the NBA, you know, Philly, them Sixers teams, man, they came up short quite a bit. You know, you had the Boston Celtics in the East that was pretty tough. They got through the finals a couple of times, lost to the Lakers. They lost to Portland in like 77. You know, so Dr. J's place in history, I think sometimes gets diluted, you know, because again, the game is evolving. You know, players are they're great players coming along every year. So, you know, there are great players that people are coming, they're doing things that Dr. J couldn't do athletically, and that's just a sign of the times, in my opinion. I'm one that believes that guys, you know, a guy like a Dr. J, if he had the same advantages as a LeBron James, not saying he would be as great as LeBron, because he didn't have that type of game when he played. He wasn't as versatile as LeBron James. But his athleticism, you know, was unparalleled. And I think a guy like a Dr. J, with his abilities, if he played at the same time and had the same advantages as a LeBron James or Carmelo Anthony or a Vince Carter, you know, these guys that came behind him, you know, I'm one to believe that, you know, greatness, great players will figure it out. You know what I'm saying? I just think greatness, you're not just great because you're just more athletic than everybody, you know what I'm saying, or you just more polished or whatever. Man, greatness, man, is here too. And great players are the ones that's out there willing to do the things to be great that the guys that's on that level below them aren't willing to do. And so I just believe, man, greatness in any era will translate, because they're going to be ones that's willing to do what it takes to be great. But I want to get some opinions, man. Dr. J, you know, some opinions on Dr. J, man. I really feel like he's becoming more and more underappreciated by the younger generations. You know, he's becoming more and more underappreciated. And I want to get my roundtable fellas together, and I want to do a discussion on Dr. J, man, his impact on the league, on professional basketball as a whole, man. I just think Dr. J, you know, with time, with the younger generation, us older guys clearly understand his impact. We clearly understand what he meant to the league, and we clearly understand, you know, why he was held in the esteem that he was. But I'm out for now, man. Y'all don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel, man. Leave me y'all comments on what you think about Dr. J. Peace.